How is everyone doing tonight? Yeah, can I get a ow? There you go. Doesn't help. Yeah, you know it, you know it. Gosh, isn't life a curious thing? Think about all the things that are happening all around us. And if you watch TV and pay attention to the news, it can seem pretty precarious. But if you're someone that's interested in self-growth or spirituality, I'm sure you've heard of the term follow your passion, follow your dreams. I'd like to invite you to consider following your curiosity, as that is what I did in order to create a life that's very nourishing. I live with an amazing partner. We have an amazing relationship. We live in an amazing home, and I get to live in one of the most beautiful, amazing places in the world. I get to do amazing work these days where I actually get to help people and support in the changing of minds and the opening of hearts. And it is truly nourishing. You know, my life challenges me to grow, and my willing to grow helps me to really enjoy true, authentic joy and, growth. And is what I believe we all came here to do. And it certainly wasn't always like that. Looking back in my life, I realized I did not know how to dream. Until I was 30 years old, my dream, frankly, was to be normal. Normal like all the other Asians in Western society, if you will. Just living a normal life. That was truly my dream. After all, I had been born in a culture that didn't allow me or help me to realize that possibility. And coming from an entire family, coming from rural parts of that culture, going through intense experiences of poverty and scarcity, lack, and, well, mental illness and trauma without really understanding what that is, because there's really no safe space. And being born as a highly sensitive person, I took all that in and believed that that was me. And then moving to Western society, coming from that framework, those core conditionings of myself and my identity, I didn't realize how challenging it was trying to grow up in this society. Now, I moved to Calgary, Alberta when I was 7, and as I grew up, I'm raised on American pop culture, right? Americana. I just loved it all so much. Sitcoms, video games, movies, American late night, American political satire, all those things. And another aspect I realized why I didn't know how to dream was I realized watching all the things I loved, I rarely saw anyone that looked like me portrayed on screen in any sort of significant or transformative experiences. So therefore, I never gave myself the chance to experience all the characters I was watching on the screens. So therefore, I did not know how to give myself permission to do what I really wanted. And being a sensitive person and wanting to connect with, well, everyone really and throughout school, I realized I would contort and stretch myself in every single way in order to try to get the person that I'm connecting with or interacting with to accept me, to validate me. And that became so painful, especially as I moved into junior high and high school, that I just didn't know how to deal with my emotional challenges. Having gone through so much trauma earlier in life without ever having the support or the understanding of how much I was going through left me with so many things and pains I was struggling with internally that I was not able to really express. So moving through a slew of antidepressants in my late teens really did a lot of damage to my own mind, in a sense. But I look back and I realized I started following my curiosity, and I started trying alternative ways to help me feel better, like plant medicine, mother cannabis. Looking back, that really started to open up my mind. But what it actually did is also created so much shame and guilt within me, because I come from a culture, and I was raised by a single mom dealing with debilitating depression that absolutely hated the fact that I was using cannabis. So through that, I brought myself down even lower than I felt, and I hated myself for finding alternative ways to help me feel better. And through all those judgments, I wasn't able to do well in school. I was so scared because I was so anxious, such intense social phobia, depression, anxiety. And acne was really the bane of my younger existence. So I couldn't complete school. And as a mainland Chinese-born person, not being able to do well in school, boy, did that create so much judgment within me. And by the time I had to drop out because I was dealing with so much anxiety, I didn't know how to keep forcing myself to be in those spaces. Without being able to go to post-secondary, I was just lost. From the age of 19 to 23, all I wanted to do, I fantasized so much about killing myself. But as someone that's really sensitive, and being so afraid of pain, I knew that I was never going to be able to really do that. And that created, once again, a whole other layer of pain, of judgment, thinking, here I am, I can't even do anything right. So, boy, was that tough. Just working fast food jobs and minimum wage jobs and barely able to hold on to any of them for more than a few months, I was worthless. I classify myself as completely useless. But after a few years of intense suffering, developing bulimia, I became curious about the book my family doctor had passed to my mom a couple years ago. And it was The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. Back then, I hated reading. I just started falling asleep anytime I started reading. But I was in so much pain, I had to try something different. And I slowly began to let those words sink in. And I followed my curiosity to explore other teachers and other wisdom leaders. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Pema Chödrön, Alan Watts, Joseph Campbell. These were my companions since my early 20s. Because of my complete self-hate and judgment and not being able to fit in, I started spending so much time on my own since I was 19. And for the following decade, I spent most of it on my own. But I was always with these constant companions, these teachers, these wisdom leaders. And I started to allow myself to be entrained and started to vibe with the vibrations I was getting from their teachings. And I started to experiment with allowing those wisdoms, those thoughts, those teachings, and to act upon them. Learning how to treat myself with more understanding, compassion, patience, and kindness. And through that, having the ability to do that with others. My curiosity led me to look at the way I was living and eating and how normal it was. Now, growing up, loved fast food, eating out, junk food, all the good stuff. And of course, without understanding how to actually help myself feel good emotionally any other way, that was my go-to. Sugar, all the so-called legal drugs. But I started educating myself, and I started becoming curious and started trying out green smoothies, dark leafy greens. Started educating myself about the food system, about advertising, and all the conditionings that I was taught. And I started to change my habits. What that did is helping me to detoxify my body, my mind, spirit, because it really all is one. And through that, gave me the strength to keep opening up my mind, keep daring to walk my own path. But boy, let me tell you, as someone born into a culture of conformity, of suppression, that's all I wanted to do. I was actually trying to do that so I can be normal. Like the A-types Winston had mentioned before. I wanted to be like that, but with heart, with gentleness. That was my goal. So I kept exploring, I kept following my curiosity. You know, after a few years of really actually healing myself, I was ready to go be normal again, going to post-secondary. Now, none of the classes resonated with me, but I did find free yoga classes for them put on by the student union. And through going to those classes, I finally felt something different. Right away, I resonated with those practices. You know, and I kept exploring that. Couldn't go on with post-secondary because that was just not the environment for me, and I was so not ready at that time. But I kept exploring yoga. That led me to yoga teacher training, which was a profound experience. That led me to learning about deeper into meditation, spirituality, and really started to pay attention to all the amazing documentaries out there about what's really going on in our society, in our world. The food documentaries like the Food Matters team and all those ones, the Zeitgeist series, PBS and all their amazing specials. This is my constant growing hobby and passion. And that kept me becoming more inspired and the willingness to keep being myself. And I was doing this all on my own because I didn't have really, I had a small group of friends I kept in touch with since high school, but I certainly couldn't be authentic with them. And I noticed as I even shared with people about my newfound passion for green smoothies or for healing, all I got was defensiveness. So I realized, okay, maybe I shouldn't speak about all the changes I was going through and making. So I kept walking in my own direction. I started to, do really well in those retail jobs I had, easily becoming top salesman. But certainly wasn't satisfying, wasn't really filling me up. So I kept exploring. And in my later 20s, I brought plant medicine back into my life, and that really started to open up my consciousness. After doing so much work through healthier eating, movement medicine, mind medicine, I started to open up that pathway of understanding, allowing my energies, my higher self, as I grounded into my physical body. So I started feeling really good. And that gave me the strength to keep following curiosity, to try out emotional intensive development workshops, kind of something similar to Landmark, if you will, that was really empowering for me and really helped to open me up even further. That kept me going, and by the time I turned 30, a whole slew of synchronicities happened that led me to be volunteering at a spiritual expo. My friend said, come on, let's try the spirit reading, this aura reading with me. I've always been extremely open-minded, and I kept opening my mind throughout my 20s, so sure, why not? I'm open. And yeah, that experience was truly profound in that I came and sat in front of this person, and as she started reading my energy, she lit up and started talking to me as if I was family. And I remember the words coming out of her mouth was, you are to be a catalyst for the awakening of others. That was the first time my heart and my soul heard truth about myself. And that blew open my mind and my curiosities. But once again, coming from a culture that doesn't allow, at least from my experience, and these are my opinions and my thoughts about my experience, that created the opportunity to dare to take leaps of faith. I kept getting spiritual readings from so many different modalities, intuitive readings, and those readings told me, yeah, my soulmate's waiting for me in Vancouver. I had a whole new life waiting for me in Vancouver, and I'm meant to help others and create beauty and inspiration. So I was then kept following my curiosity and was willing to move from that windowless basement room in Calgary I had been staying in for 15 years until that point, and had the courage to pack up my car full of stuff in the dead of winter and move to Vancouver with nothing waiting for me but a 10-day Airbnb booking, looking with just the hope of that someone was waiting for me and that I actually had a destiny. Until I turned 30, I had no idea that I had a soul. Sure, other people from other cultures, experiences, lives have that experience, have that realities, but not me. I come from an entire group and energy that still had no conception of their eternal nature and that they are power and love and creativity. But I was brave enough to move to the city, and my curiosities kept guiding me to explore all the various spiritual communities and all the different possibilities. I followed my curiosity and met the person. Now, it was quite the amazing experience, and I was willing to let go and grow into the person that could see the possibilities that life was presenting to me, and was able to then co-create a relationship that was so transformative and nourishing, but that challenged me in every single possible way to grow and mature as me. I kept following my curiosity and found a shop in Gastown where I started doing tarot readings. Never did I think that I would ever be involved in any of that stuff. Even as I got those readings in Calgary, never did I think I would be on the other side of that table. But hey, curiosity kept me going, and now, I'm able to actually create relationship with people and create work where I actually get to help people to realize all the possibilities that they have to really be there for themselves, to really recognize that freedom is allowing one to be authentic. And there is no set standard for properness. It's all an exploration. It's all an opportunity to experience, to be present and express. So I'm going to keep following my curiosity because it really has led me to discover all these beautiful, breadcrumbs I know my spirit and the universe keeps leaving me. So I'd like to invite you to consider, to be curious about what it is, the role you are here to play for this amazing transformative journey. We are all beginning to realize more and more that we are all on this together. Because what I realize is we all have skin in the game. And I believe as the world continues to change and as our Mother Nature continues to show us all the changes that she's making, we're going to start to see that the opportunity here is to follow our curiosity and find passion and joy, fulfillment and purpose. Thank you.